Forget how to do this. Hello and welcome to another episode of Streaming Without a Paddle. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Ted.
Ted, love your shirt.
Thanks. I'm real festive.
It's summer.
It's summer. It's hot. I feel, like...
You just came back from the islands.
I just came back from my honeymoon in the islands, and this is just as festive as I could get.
It's great. I love it.
I have multiple pictures in the islands in this flowered shirt.
I think I'm sitting here with the Tom Selleck Magnum PI version.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at.
It's a solid
right here.
I bought some short shorts because that's what the kids are wearing. So I got some 8-inch shorts, and I was just Magnum PI.
There you go. I'm an 8-inch inseam guy myself. Anything longer is Caprice for men.
Oh,
Seriously. I saw my mother-in-law. Love you, Nana. Saw my mother-in-law standing beside a relatively much younger individual, and he was wearing shorts and she was wearing capris, and there wasn't 2 inches difference in the length. So I said, "Okay, never. I'm not wearing the pants my mother-in-law are wearing."
Only at work, right? At work, I don't mind a good pair of cargo shorts, but they are down to your knees or past.
Or past it, yeah.
Yeah, and that's just a normal. I'm talking about normal Levi's cargo shorts.
Yeah.
That's how cargo shorts fit.
Yep, I call them cargo capris.
Cargo capris.
Yeah, that's not my.
I like that.
Not my float there. No, and when you go to the beach here in the southeast.
Yeah.
The
redneck Riviera.
L.A., lower Alabama.
Yeah.
That's what you get, are cargo capris.
Yeah,
That's all you see on the beach.
We're going to Perdita Key. I hope you can meet us there. We'll go out and get us some steamed shrimp or something.
Yeah. Yep.
That was a close impression of my mom. See, my mom's a little higher like this, but still raspy.
Uh-huh.
And my sister's a little lower and a little sassier.
Your sister's very sassy.
Yeah, and then my normal, if you hear me on camera, my southern accent's down here. It's a lot of this. Let me tell you something. Let me get too intense for a second.
I'm more of Larry the Cable Guy.
Okay.
That's what I am. I'm Larry.
I like that.
Yeah, that's me. Oh, all right. Now, that was, I don't want to say the best part of the show. Because
close.
It was a lot better than the movie that Ted and I watched this last week.
I made him because...
No, and I'm glad he did, because you know what? I like Broken Lizard stuff.
Okay, so here's the thing.
I do
too, but here's the thing. Super Troopers is great.
Yeah.
Super Troopers is of a time period, 2002, whatever it was. It is a wonderful, funny movie.
Yeah.
Beerfest is also great.
Okay, I'm going to come down a little bit over Super Troopers. Super Troopers
Super Troopers that's the Hamlet.
Right.
Beerfest is their second best movie.
Those guys would love to hear you refer to their work as the Hamlet.
Beerfest is their second best movie. The one where they're on the island.
Club Dread.
I don't love Club Dread.
Oh, see, that's my second favorite.
I would put it.
I'm Super Troopers, Club Dread,
Slammin Salmon,
and Club Dread, or Super Troopers 2, and then I'm Beerfest.
Okay, so I'm Super Troopers 1, Beerfest, Super Troopers 2, Slammin Salmon.
Yeah.
And then Club Dread. The only part about Club Dread that I love is when she's like, play that. Basically, he's telling him to play his version of Cheeseburger in Paradise. And he says something ridiculous. Rest in peace, Bill Paxton. And he's like, it's not Cheeseburger. And he just loses his mind. And he's like, it's something else. And he's like, it's pickle sandwich and whatever he says. And it's so funny because of the commitment. But,
well, see, I think I like Club Dread so much was because that's my kind of horror movie.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, that's my speed right there.
Soft horror.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, I loved it. Anyway, as far as Broken Lizard stuff goes, that's my order. And we watch Quasi. That's what we watch.
Uh-huh.
On HULU. It was like an hour and 40 something. I forget.
This is 25 minutes too long.
It was an hour and 40 something minutes too long.
And you like to talk production. That production budget was a lot.
But it was horrible. They pocketed the money.
It was so bad.
I've never seen a cleaner. Okay, so Quasi is Broken Lizard, so you can just, if you're familiar with their work, and we just rattled it off, their highlight reel. Quasi is about Quasimodo, and he's in medieval times, and the Pope and the King have both solicited his help to kill the other.
Yes.
Yeah, the King wants the Pope dead, the Pope wants the King dead so they can rule, and they've solicited Quasi's help, and it just, it doesn't go well.
The princess
The queen
the queen takes a liking to Quasi.
Yeah. So, anyway, I was laughing because I was like, that is the cleanest medieval era set thing. I mean, it was nobody aged it. I mean, it was like you could almost see the lines of the plywood up on the wall. I mean, there was no aging to it.
No, it was as if you went to see a medieval outdoor Renaissance fair drama, and
serve up the chicken.
Yeah, they were dressed
or
like
the turkey leg. Yeah,
they were they had some budgets for makeup because they finally showed Quasimodo's hump.
Yeah, and the only thing dirty about it were the actors. The sets were really clean, and it was really funny because they shot it dark. I mean, we're in a dungeon, let's just shoot it dark so that you really can't tell that it's so pristine. But every time they were outside in the courtyard or whatever,
on the sound stage,
it was just so clean. It was ridiculous. I mean, the stage and all that looks like they just built it. I mean, anyway. Oh, all right. So that was the movie in a nutshell, and now we're going to not tell you what happens in the movie. No spoilers here. We do our best.
None.
But Ted, my problem with this movie, having been, I don't want to say a fan, but appreciative of their work, was the fact that I equated the level of this movie to them getting older.
That is exactly what I thought.
They matured into this movie. All the raunchy was gone, and they were great at good, clean kind of raunchy.
Yeah.
And now it's all gone, and so now they're left with no magic. There's no magic dust.
It's like, oh, it was just sophomoric softball joke after softball joke after like. Listen, people, there comes a point. Those guys are all your age.
Thanks.
They are.
Well,
I mean, yeah.
No, they are.
They're all 53 to 55. Look.
Hey.
The guy Kevin Heffernan, the guy that's Officer Farva.
Yeah.
He is the best actor of them. He's funny. Comedic actor. He is the best. He has the best timing.
Yeah. And who's the guy who plays, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here, Quasi.
Oh, he's funny too. He's funny in different things, and he wasn't bad in this. It's just he had such a stupid thing to play. Well, my mouth is like this. It's like Paige was so mad. My wife was like, my wife was like, God, this movie's stupid. Will he stop making his mouth do that and just talk normal? We get it. He's got a hump.
I thought this is what happened. They got in and they did a read through, and while they were reading through, he was being silly. And he cocked his mouth like that and started reading his lines. Like Rick Moranis would read something, got a little off to the side,
Yes, like Strange Brew.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they were doing the read through, and it came to the time where the Queen kisses him, and he over exaggerated the mouth over to the side of his face, and they were all like, "Oh, you got to do that. That's how you got it. That's Quasi right there." Not only does he have a hump, but he's got this mouth movement over to this cheek, and so when she comes up and kisses, it looks like she's kissing you on the cheek. And you know what? She might have gone in during a read through and kissed him, tried to on the cheek, and he just turned his mouth that way.
I don't know,
so he could kiss her. but yeah, that was stupid.
Yes, there comes a point in everyone's life when you stop being funny. Like you can be funny to your friends, but general mass funny stops. There's very few people in this world that can continue to be funny like Bill Murray, But look at Bill Murray.
Matured.
As he got older,
Yeah.
as he's gotten older, he doesn't do funny very often.
No,
he does drama.
He does
He'll
serious
jump in.
acting.
He'll jump in and do Zombieland, where he does a like funny cameo, and he's like, "I use the proton pack all the time," but it's like funny. But like, you can always have comedic timing. But I think with these guys, it's not that they're bad actors. It's that like your material hasn't aged. Like this type of comedy hasn't aged. Spoofy comedy.
Well, and they left out all the. I mean, I'm just they left all of the good parts out of that kind of comedy. What made their movies enjoyable, Super Trooper, Club Dread, whatever, was the fact that they really pushed the limits when it came to sexuality in those movies. I mean, they got borderline dirty. I mean, there's up until. Well, they all have a fair amount of nudity in them. This movie had nothing. It was like they were doing, what is that? They do the FX show, they play firemen in Reno or something like that, Tahoe.
These guys write that.
Yeah.
Tacoma. They write that.
Yeah, and
that's
so,
a Broken Lizard show.
It is. Yeah, no, I know.
Or two of them.
And so, well, that's clean. And they tried to adapt that into their movie writing of Super Troopers and Club Dread and all that. And they left all the sexual innuendos out of it.
And I like Tacoma Fire Department. It's pretty funny. It's decent.
Yeah, I mean...
But also, it's just like, why make this? Like, what makes your head say people want to see? I don't know. It's got a 6.3 on IMDb, which is higher than I think it should.
Yeah, no, I didn't look.
Can we just talk for a second about what is going on with comedic movies? Why are they not good, and why are they not made? There are movies that are like a horror that has comedy in it, or a drama that has comedy in it, but there are no straight up comedies.
Yeah, I think those guys are gone. I think those studio guys are gone. And there was a whole generation, and sadly it's probably my generation, that got put into those slots. And they just started killing off really good movies. I mean, my generation's killed off a lot. I'm not going to mince word with it. I think my generation's probably the worst generation in a long, long time. Really, it is.
You think?
I know. I know.
It's funny. You know what's funny? Not to get too political.
I mean, I'm not, and that's not political.
No.
That's across all spectrums.
I understand what you're saying, because it's what's funny about your generation that I would say is like, God, you guys love to just really worship guys that dressed up like women in rock bands, but you are just put out if they do a drag show somewhere.
Yeah,
doesn't make a lick of sense.
No, we have the worst crop of leaders that came out of my generation. It's just it's a generation of entitlement, And anyway, I'm not going down there, but I think in the area of movies. I think, and pretty much everything, but in movies, I think my generation killed it. They were too cool to think that When Harry Met Sally was a good movie, a rom-com, and good comedies like Meatballs and, whatever. They tried to replicate that. They just screwed it up because they were trying. It's like, all right, here it is. Old generation made Caddyshack. New generation made Caddyshack 2.
Ugh.
No, that's the best comparison I can come up with. It was so ridiculously stupid.
It's an atrocity.
It is.
It's one of the worst sequels of all time.
And that's how I equate my generation. We grew up on Caddyshack, and we go, oh yeah, we can do it better. And all my generation is able to produce is Caddyshack 2. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, but
Bushwood is the world's largest putt-putt course.
Right, but you also had... I forgot. And Dan Aykroyd, they did the worst.
Oh, God.
So, but what you also forgot about is the people in your generation that are funny, broad funny, like as in like people across the board mostly think they're funny.
All right, who in my generation's funny?
Adam Sandler.
All right, Adam Sandler, I'll give you that. Who else?
Judd Apatow.
Well, he's not my generation.
He
he's
is.
Yours.
No, he's your age, though.
Well, all right.
But he's making movies for my generation.
Right. I'm not saying the whole generation is a bunch of failures. There are things, but the talent pool is much shallower. It really, really is.
Well, you don't benefit from, you don't need a ton of talent in those 80s movies.
But you look at the generation that preceded my generation. You just named them off: Aykroyd, Chevy Chase, Bill Murray. They're just Rick Moranis, Dave Thomas.
John Candy.
John Candy. Eugene Levy.
All of them.
See, now how quick was that for me to rattle off? And now I can't even look back and see who are my peers and what are they doing.
And if I were to think about mine, I can go Jason Segel, Jonah Hill. There's all those dudes.
And I could go backwards and do the same thing.
Yeah, that's funny. You're right.
DiCaprio,
Yeah.
Brad Pitt, that's
Brad Pitt's older than you.
Yeah. Is he?
Brad Pitt's 60.
All right.
Brad Pitt is 59. He'll be 60 this year.
All right.
That's there's the
all right, there's a few.
He's a little bit
but he plays a lot younger in my defense.
He does. DiCaprio's 47.
Okay. That's your generation.
But yeah, that's Tobey Maguire, DiCaprio, but they don't do comedies. So they I would love.
Well, DiCaprio can do comedies.
He doesn't though. He's comedic in Once Upon a Time. He's really funny.
Oh, Once Upon a Time, Wolves of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Wolves of Wall Street. Oh my God, I thought he was hysterical.
I did too.
His timing in that was just amazing.
His timing is exceptional.
And look who directed that movie. Somebody who knew something about comedy, Martin Scorsese. He knew how to make that funny. I know Martin knows, but he knows comedy.
There's comedy in every one of his movies.
Yeah.
There's comedy in Goodfellas. There's comedy in everything.
There is. And I'm going again, Billy Crystal. There's another one ahead of me. Great comedy. Rob Reiner. He's two generation, but he knew comedy. He knew what was funny.
Yeah.
And there's just this lull in my generation of comedic actors and comedic minds, and it's,
They had the Workaholics guys. Did you ever watch that show, Workaholics?
Every now and then.
I thought that show was so funny. And those guys, they had a really successful run, and then they did a movie called Game Over Man that was also really funny.
Yeah.
And pushed the boundaries and did everything, but they haven't made another one since. That was 2017. I'm sure they're all doing movies and things, but...
I just so anyway, these guys, Club Dread, Broken Lizard, Quasi. Yeah, I did. My overall feeling at the end of the movie was these guys outgrew themselves. They matured. They lost their sense of humor, their way of sense of humor. And I get it. I'm not the same person I was 20 years ago. My sense of humor is probably a little bit different, but when you're putting it on something that's going to be permanent, your sense of humor,
I get what you're saying. I don't have the same sort of dick and fart comedy to say that I did when I made Adult Interference. The new movie I made is it's got funny things in it every now and then, but it's I don't know, you just don't have that to say after a while. Like John Hughes, if you think about all his teen movies that he made, eventually he just was I don't have that to say anymore. I'm going to go make family movies. I'm going to write Home Alone.
Yeah. Well, again, great comedic writer, producer, and he's not the only one of that generation. You look at and getting away from comedies, they just did everything better. The generation ahead of me did everything better, and my generation came in and they couldn't do anything. They really couldn't.
And they also love to be as soon as a new shiny technology thing comes, if we can talk about the writer's strike for a second, just so people know that listen to this, a large part of the writer's strike is because they don't pay residuals to writers or actors or directors or anybody like they used to. They're very terrible. And now basically the companies are saying, well, we could just get AI to write the scripts for us and we don't need writers. That's insane. That is insane.
Casey Neistat just did a whole show on his YouTube channel that was written by AI, and it was pretty bad.
Yeah, it will give you general strokes of what would be a script, but it's not humanized, and That's what
And
I
for
think.
the record-
Your generation are who are in charge of studios that are like, yeah, that's way cheaper.
Well, it's not even that. They just don't know humor. They don't know things. They just. I look back at the people that I grew up, the kids that I grew up with, and the way they went through their adolescent, teenage, early 20s or their 20s, and now they're in positions of power, and I'm like, oh my God. It's not every one of them, but a vast majority of them are. I wouldn't buy a car from 75% of the people I graduated with.
Yeah.
I'm seriously.
Yeah, I'm with you.
No,
I'm with you.
It was bad. But anyway, and as for the writer's strike, I think, Ted and I both support what's going on with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And nobody wrote this show.
No, we just off the cuff.
This is pure ad lib.
We're just talking about other stuff because Quasi's not good.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm giving it a very bad grade.
I am
And
too.
so-
And let's just get to it. Let's rip this Band-Aid. Let's rip this Band-Aid off. And it's hard for me to do it. Well, again, I wasn't a big fan of these guys at Broken Lizard, but I did enjoy their stuff because it was funny, and this was not funny. So I'm going to lead off. I'm giving this, in the realm of comedies, I'm giving this a 30.
Ooh.
I'm giving this a 30 in the realm of comedies. In the general sense, I'm going to give it a 45.
Okay.
That's my number.
I got you. I'm going to preface what I say by, like, if I were giving numbers out to Super Troopers would have a high 80s to low 90s comedy for me.
Okay.
Just want to say that.
I'm not going to argue with that.
It's just
I can accept that.
it's a
I'll
very
respect
good
it.
comedy that stands the test of time from 20 years ago. I give this a hard. I didn't laugh one time. It's a 40. It's a 40 on both fronts. That's
Both
all I
fronts.
can do.
Okay. I didn't laugh one time either.
Not one time did I laugh.
I was waiting for the adult humor in this movie, and it never came.
I smirked.
And the queen, the young lady who plays the queen, what's her name?
Adrian Padalecki, I think.
Yeah.
She's from Friday Night Lights.
She's absolutely gorgeous, and
She's the best actor.
by far.
Everything that came out of her mouth was believable.
Yeah. So, and she only played one role, which was nice because all the other guys played like 3 or 4 different roles.
I did laugh at one gag, and then we can close this episode out.
What was the gag?
The gag that I laughed at one time, I think, is when they kept being like, your best friend, blah, blah, blah. And he'd be like, that's not my best friend. They kept both being like, that's not my best friend. We just hang out together. You just needed to. I was like, that made me laugh a couple times.
Plausible deniability.
Yeah.
Because the alternative was not good.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, so, all right. The movie's Quasi. It's on Hulu. And, find something else to do. Seriously.
Or just watch Super Troopers again.
Go watch Super Troopers or Club Dread or, turn on the FX and watch them in Tacoma.
Yeah.
FD, Fire Department.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Tell your friends. Till next week, I'm Andrew.
I'm Ted.